Hey guys, it's Barlock here, and today I'm bringing you another top 8 for Gen 8. In my last video, I counted down my 8 favorite Pokemon, so today I thought it would be cool to do a top 8 Eeveelutions since there are exactly 8 of them, at the moment at least. So if you like this video, be sure to headbutt the subscribe button and help me grow this channel. You can also leave a like or comment on what your favorite Eeveelution is. Also, in this episode I'm going to introduce a trivia question of the day, and I'm going to carry this forward through other top 8 videos. If you want to know the answer, stick around to the end of the video. So today's question is, how many normal type moves cause paralysis, and can you name them all? Leave your answers in the comments below, and no cheating. Now, without further ado, here are my top 8 Eeveelutions. So we're going to start at number 1 and then work our way down, because if you've seen my other video that I've done in the top 8, you should know by now that my favorite Eeveelution is Jolteon. I'm not going to go into too much detail because I covered most of my reasons why Jolteon is the best Eeveelution in my 8 favorite Pokemon video, but simply put, Jolteon is the best all around. Next! So for number 2 we have Umbreon. The main reason that Umbreon is on this list in the number 2 slot is because it has one of the coolest designs of any Pokemon. It's just so sleek and foreboding. It's an early dark type which really embodied the traits of its typing. It also has one of the best shinies in the entire game. Swapping the yellow rings out for blue ones and then changing its eyes to yellow is a fairly subtle change, but it just works so well and changes the entire feel of this Pokemon, coming across more like a dark, moonlit night. And as if that wasn't enough, I also really enjoy Umbreon's playstyle. It's a really reliable tank that I can depend on to take multiple hits and then fight back in a dirty fashion. Its Foul Play, Wish, Protect, Heal Bell set is popular, but I also really enjoy a Curse, Payback, Moonlight set for maximum defense and offense. It takes a while to get that one going, but once you get enough curses up, that thing can just sweep through an enemy team. You can't even put status conditions onto this Pokemon without having them reflect back due to its Synchronize ability, which makes Umbreon a real terror to try to get around. For these reasons, it takes my number 2 slot. For number 3 we have Espeon. Back when Gold and Silver came out, I didn't really care that much for Espeon, mainly because Umbreon overshadowed it so much for me, and I thought its design was a little plain. However, years later I played through Soul Silver, and my Eevee evolved into an Espeon, and it's at this point that I realized just how much of a powerhouse this Pokemon is. Its special attack stat is very good. It's capable of one-shotting many Pokemon with ease if you put choice specs on it. Specs Espeon is so powerful that it got me through most of the toughest challenges in Soul Silver. Like Umbreon, Espeon also gets Synchronize, but its main feature is the insanely good ability Magic Bounce. With Magic Bounce, it will reflect back any status move directed at it, meaning not only can it not be hit with status condition moves like Toxic or Confuse Ray, or debuff moves like Feather Dance or Growl, but it will instead make the opponent's Pokemon get hit with their own moves. Obviously, this is just incredible, and it also applies to entry hazards like Stealth Rocks or Sticky Web. I don't even bother bringing my own entry hazards if I'm using an Espeon, because it's way funner swapping in and sending them back at an opponent. Even better, it also gets fun utility moves like Trick, which allow for trolley sets which can surprise your opponents. Tricking a Choice Scarf onto a Ferrothorn after reflecting its spikes back is always hilarious, and is sure to make your opponent rage. Overall, this Pokemon is just a lot of fun, and I've even grown to love its strange green shiny. So for these reasons, it takes my number 3 slot. For number 4 we have Vaporeon. Back in Generation 1, this was probably my least favorite Eeveelution, but I've grown to appreciate it a lot over the years. For one thing, it has a huge HP stat and good special attack stat, making it a tank that can also dish out damage. It's also a really great staller with Wish and Protect, and you can also play mind games with your opponents and swap into injured Pokemon when they're expecting a Protect and then heal them. I've been walled on more than one occasion by a Vaporeon utilizing its huge HP recovery options to ruin my day. In addition, it also has a really cool purple shiny. I actually bought a large, shiny Vaporeon plush a few years ago and I loved it. It's what started turning me around on this Pokemon, actually. And it really made me want to get a hold of one in-game. At this point, I have more Vaporeon sets bred in Ultra Sun than I do for any other Eeveelution, or Pokemon for that matter. Which should tell you something about how much I enjoy this Pokemon and how much you can do with it. All in all, Vaporeon is a solid choice, which is why it takes my number 4 slot. For number 5, we have the newest Eeveelution, Sylveon. If I'm being entirely frank, Sylveon kind of annoys me because of how prominent it and fairies in general are in the current metagame. This cute terror has roadblocked me in VGC challenges many times, and I'm starting to hope that the fairy typing gets a new weakness when Pokemon Sword and Shield comes along. All that said, I can't deny that Sylveon is a good Eeveelution. Its design is adorable, and it has an awesome shiny, which inverts its pink and blue color scheme to make its design appear even more pastel colored. And, as much as its status in competitive play annoys me, I really love running an unconventional physical Sylveon set. Sylveon's hidden ability is Pixelate, which turns all normal moves into fairy moves and increases their power by 20%. I have a Pixelate Sylveon from Gen 6, which has been taught Retaliate, a move which doubles in power when an ally Pokemon was knocked out in the previous turn. Throw in a Choice Band and throw same type attack bonus into account, and this Pokemon does far more damage than you would expect, especially considering its poor attack stat, having the potential to one-shot sweepers or special walls who are expecting a Hyper Voice. I did some damage calcs on this, and you could one-shot a typical Mewtwo set using this Sylveon set. Hopefully fairies get some toning down in Gen 8, but until that happens I will probably not appreciate Sylveon as much as I wish I could. So for that, it gets my number 5 slot. For number 6, we have Glaceon. I really like the little details on this Eeveelution. Its ice, hair. Let's go with hair. It looks adorable, and it has a lovely in-game cry. It also has a really good special attack stat and strong defensive stats. Unfortunately, it suffers several crippling issues that make it really unviable. First of all, it has an awful move pool. Nearly every attack it gets are ice moves, and with its abysmal attack stat, it can't even use half of its coverage options or moves even with any sort of viability. Trust me, I've tried running a couple physical Glaceon sets, and they are just horrid. It does get Mirror Coat, so that gives you some options that you can try to get kills with, but it's probably its only really good option outside of its ice-type moves. Furthermore, it also has 2 pretty mediocre abilities in Snow Cloak and Ice Body, which mean that you're probably going to have to waste a turn putting up Hail to get any use out of them. Not that you're likely to survive long enough to do anything about that though, because Glaceon has a low HP and speed stats, which basically ruin its otherwise good physical and special defense stats. Oh, and it also has one of those extremely lame shinies, which looks basically identical to its regular form, just with slightly more saturated colors. It's just too bad. I love Glaceon's design, but its stats and move pool render it basically unplayable. So for that, it gets my number 6 slot. For number 7, we have Leafeon. Leafeon just doesn't leave much of an impression on me. I mean, it has a pretty good design, but I prefer most of the other Eeveelutions over it. It has decent stats with high physical defense and attack, and a decent speed stat, but it's also lacking coverage options to help it out. It does have a pretty good hidden ability in Chlorophyll, which doubles its speed stat in Sunshine, so you can potentially get off a very strong Choice Band Retaliate or Leaf Blade if you give it a bit of setup beforehand. But that's the thing with Leafeon. It has the potential to do damage, but it struggles to hold its own without dedicated support, unlike, say, Umbreon, which is the support for the rest of your team. And lest we forget, its shiny is also basically indistinguishable from the original, being only slightly more vibrant in color. So for these reasons, it gets my number 7 slot. And bringing up the rear, we have Flareon. Is anyone surprised by this? Flareon is, and always has been, a bad joke for a couple reasons. First of all, its design is really lame. It's literally just a redder and yellow version of Eevee, which barely conveys its fire elements of its typing. Its shiny manages to make this look even worse with an ugly muted orange and yellow, which makes it easily the crappiest looking Eeveelution shiny. Secondly, its stats and move pool are just terrible. It has a huge physical attack stat, good special defense, and decent special attack. However, its speed and HP stats are really low, meaning that it's probably not going to last long enough to get off more than one attack. Thirdly, the only physical fire attacks it gets are the mediocre Fire Fang and Flare Blitz, a move which is powerful, but it causes recoil damage, meaning that you're going to be getting a couple hits at most, even if Flareon somehow goes first before it kills itself. Like most of the Eeveelutions, it is also lacking in coverage moves, with Superpower easily being the best option it gets. But again, if you use Superpower, then your defense and attack are going down, so it can't even stay in and continue attacking if it's using its coverage options. However, this becomes even more ridiculous when you remember that Flareon was designed back in Gen 1 when all fire attacks were special, so it couldn't even use its physical attack stat effectively for several generations. People suffering trying to use Flareon were stuck trying to use its special attack stat for years, because it just gets way more viable special attack options. But then you're wasting its good stat in attack. I mean, I'll give some credit for it having a couple of decent abilities, like Flash Fire. If you swap into a fire attack, it'll boost your damage. And Guts can be pretty decent. It provides a 50% attack bonus when you're suffering a status condition. Obviously, this just makes Flareon die even quicker, but if you throw a Toxic Orb onto Guts Flareon, you can use it as a decent suicide wall breaker if it manages to survive whatever hits it first. But, I mean, obviously, combine all this together, and you've just got a terrible Eeveelution, a no-brainer for my number 8 slot. So that's all the Eeveelutions we've gotten so far. Which one is your favorite? Do you agree with my list? Do you think that we'll get another Eeveelution in Gen 8? There was a piece of official artwork that came out at the time of Let's Go Eevee, which suggested that perhaps there was a Steel-type Eeveelution incoming. But it never materialized in that game, and as of yet we haven't seen anything suggesting that it'll happen. Here's hoping, though. Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this video, but until next time, this is Barlock, signing off.